Have you been frustrated with growing melano? Me too. Here are my tips. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are talking about, once upon a time, my favorite plant in the whole world, Philodendron melanochrysum. This plant I was so in love with. It was literally, if I had to make a top plants that I love, it was at number 1. Actually, I found this video from January 2020 and it was at number 2. And another very fun thing, the first photo that I used for the melanochrysum is not a melano, it is actually a gigas. So that just shows you how little I knew back then. It's very fun. And it only left there because it's such a tricky plant to grow, in my experience. And so I'm finally able to grow it much better than I have ever before. And this video, I'm gonna share the tips finally, because I promised that a while ago. Now, just to give you an idea, this was one of the first plants, rare plants, that I saw in person. It was the Kekieki event, I think 2019 or 2020, when they opened their shop. And seeing it in person was so cool because it was so much more beautiful than I had ever imagined. The velvet is almost hard to capture for videos, and maybe not so much videos, but Instagram back then was more photos. It was just very hard to show off how beautiful these plants are. I also saw it in the botanical gardens in Utrecht later, where they had a huge one, like leaves, I have a picture with it, leaves at half the size of my body, and I was in love with it. So I was lucky enough to get a little plant from my friend Larissa, and I grew it out for a long time. But even growing it as tall as me, the leaves didn't really size up. So that is one first tip. If you can get one with already bigger leaves, that will definitely make the growing a lot more fun. If you're in a more warm tropical climate, maybe that will help and make it maybe size up quicker. But for me, starting quite big in this case definitely helped. Another thing that made them really frustrating for me to grow is that they get stuck a lot. The new growth just gets stuck in its petiolar sheath, if it's still growing from a petiolar sheath, and it breaks the leaf and it gets out damaged, or not even at all. You can see this in the garden centers if you have a garden center that has them for sale. Notice the new growth. Now it's getting a little bit better in my experience, but before you would always see like beautiful big leaves, and then looking at the new growth point, it was just either browned fully or like all crisped up and sad. So that is one of the main things that I didn't enjoy growing it. This is my baby. I will take her out for a proper spin so you can see all the leaves up close better. I found this one specifically in a garden center. I think it was 13 or 11 euros, something very, very low for a plant that wasn't very tall. So it was like this tall, but it already had really big leaves. So my main tip when you go to a shop and you find some, pick one that first of all has big leaves, and then second, notice the growth point and pick one that already has a cataphyll. Because when they're still growing in a petiolar sheath, which means the petiole of the previous leaf is where the leaf comes out of, mine is currently doing that so I can show you easily, that makes them often get stuck. When it reaches a more mature form of growing, it will get a cataphyll, and that is like a little protective sheath of its own, which helps the leaf come out more smooth. So if you're in the shop and you have the chance to pick one with big leaves and a cataphyll, that's step 1. Step 2, when you bring it home, these are tips by CJ, Walking Plant Addiction on Instagram. She has an insane, beautiful melano that's really, really big, and she's growing it in Canada where there's snow a lot. So apparently it's possible to grow them in a lower temperature in winter. Put it on a moss pole right away. And preferably you connect, of course, the stem to the moss pole, but then also, CJ told me, put some moss around the nodes, around the stem at the front, and wrap some cling film around it, some plastic wrap, so that the humidity in there stays nice and high, and it helps the plant to activate the roots to grow into the moss pole. And I did this only at the beginning. Now I don't have to do it anymore. I feel like it knows where to go, but just to get it to survive the stress of being transported from the shop to your house and to adjust to your conditions, it really helps to give that extra step, not just the moss pole, but also the moss in the front and then the plastic. And then if you can, put it in a high humid environment that also has good warm temperatures, especially because I got mine in winter. I put a box on its side, a big box on its side, so it's as tall as possible, and that just about fit my moss pole and my plant. That high humidity. It's more like a stable environment as well that helped my plant to adjust properly and to have the energy to grow the roots into the moss pole. If you don't have a box, that's okay, but trying to have a higher humid environment, so maybe choosing a spot where it's a little bit more humid and stable, that will help. And then also what helps is warmth and light. So warmth, especially in my case, because of winter, I put the box right next to the heaters that we have because our windowsill gets very cold in the winter. But later I spoke to CJ and she said that her plants can actually, once it's established, the cold doesn't matter as much anymore. But just for this first period, trying to keep it nice and warm. And light as well, which I didn't realize so much. I had it growing next to the heater, but it was growing above a grow light. And the internodes got very, very long and it didn't size up the leaves as much anymore. And then CJ told me, no, move it into the windowsill. She needs a lot of light and that will definitely help. And I have definitely noticed because now the top leaf is a lot more, not necessarily longer, but more chunky. And also you can see a slight change in the lobes, which we call the ears of the leaf. That's not the official term, but it's kind of cute to imagine. It's kind of dipping in a little bit, which is the really cool shape of the leaf once they mature. And CJ actually told me that first they get a little bit more fat to the sides and then they'll get longer as well. So I'm very excited for that next step. Apparently these, even though they are a velvet plant, they need a lot of light. And if you don't know, this window here, the sun is just coming through here. Can you see? This is my south-facing window. It is April in the Netherlands, so it's not super hot or bright yet. Probably in full summer, she doesn't want to be in the windowsill anymore, but it's a lot of light for what people might assume a philodendron needs, especially a velvet philodendron. And then CJ also told me that these are heavy feeders. They're hungry boys. So I water this mainly through the moss pole with a little bottle on top, like Jan does, Sydney plant guy. I learned from him. And I almost always put fertilizer in there. Also because it dilutes into the moss, of course. Not super strong fertilizer, but just a little bit. And I think that is helping as well. I usually have to put 2 or 3 bottles on there to get the whole moss pole to become moist again. Feeding regularly definitely also will help. I also repotted mine into a chunky soil mix because for me, the soil that most houseplants come in from the grower doesn't work for how I water and grow my plants. So I usually have a mix of organic potting soil mixed with 1/3 perlite and 1/3 bark. So that's quite chunky and nice. The pot is really small though at the bottom. So the pot is not as important in this case, at least when it's this tall. Most of the roots are in the moss pole. So the moss pole is more important than repotting it into a better soil mix, especially if you can work with soil mix from a garden center. The sun is coming. Yay. One more thing. My plant had a cataphyll when I bought it, and then in my house, it quickly switched back to a petiolar sheath, which I was a little bit sad about because I thought it would set the plant back. But CJ calmed me and said, like, it's normal. It was just the stress of the move. Even though I did all the things, it still got stress and reverted back to a more juvenile form of growing. But within one leaf at that point, it turned back to a cataphyll. So it doesn't have to be as scary anymore. And right now, actually, my plant is growing from petiolar sheaths still. And I think that is due to it being winter here and also me not giving it enough light. So it set it back a little bit. I am hoping that the next leaf, it will be a cataphyll again. But yeah, I will keep you up to date on that. I do have a little bit of a problem because if I turn you up, you will see she is growing all the way to the top of the window box, whatever you would call it. It's literally like stuck at the top there. And the new leaf, oh, I may have actually damaged the new leaf from that. So I'm going to, not just now, but like it looked a little bit brown already. So I probably broke it when moving it back after watering. So that sucks. I'm going to have to do a chop and extend, like a proper big one. And that will be a separate video because I have a bunch of other plants that need proper chop and extends. And I'm quite scared to do it because it's a big thing to do. And I have a lot of headaches at the moment. I don't know if I told you this, but last week I went to a chiropractor appointment. I think I talked about it more in my stories on Instagram. I went to the chiropractor for the first time, as was recommended to me by the brain clinic, and it gave me a headache for like a really intense headache, nausea for over a week. And I still have it a little bit. It's going okay now, like I can talk to you and make a video, but I notice it already building up again. Luckily today I'm going to my manual therapist, so I will talk to him about it. But I was very sad and also a little bit upset with myself for maybe going here and making my symptoms worse again. I know a few days of symptoms is normal for chiropractor, but I don't think this is good. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going back. I have been in contact with them to talk about it, and they're thinking along with me like what it could be and stuff, but it's been very frustrating. So my energy, I had to think, why am I starting this rant? My energy has been very low. I've been on the sofa most of the week just doing some embroidery. The energy to get all of these big plants out and do the chop and extend is a little bit scary. That's also why I'm making this video, because it is hopefully an easy one to edit for me and get ready for you tomorrow, because I'm filming this Tuesday at midday. Oh, I have an appointment soon actually. But yes, I hope this video is helpful. If you have any tips about melanochrysum, please leave them in the comments. If you have any questions about melanochrysum, also leave them in the comments. I can make an updated video in the future. And definitely thank you so much to CJ for helping me out with the amazing tips. It's definitely worked really well. And also a big thank you to the cool shops here in the Netherlands, like the Bosrand and Garden Center Osdorp, because these plants are now so affordable and so easily available, at least to me here in this area. I'm very happy with that. And I'm so happy that I didn't give up. Well, I did give up for a while. I tried several. I don't know if I told you that at the beginning of the video, but I think I tried like 3 or 4 melanos and they just didn't grow well at all for me. I also had thrips issues. And I gave up on them for a while. And then because they were so affordable, I really wanted to try again. And I was able to with the help of CJ. So thank you so much for that. I also named my plant after her. This is my melano CJ. And yeah, that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe below if you haven't already. Leave a nice comment. And you can click the bell to get notified anytime I upload, which hopefully is every Wednesday for plant videos. I want to get back to the renovation videos as well, and maybe the yoga videos, because I have a few more classes that I can release. So more to come. Also, it's starting to get warm, so I'm starting to take off layers for those of you that have been asking about bikini videos. It's been way too cold in my house to wear a bikini, but I am actually sweating now in my sweater, so patience, my friends. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!